Hi everybody! I wasn't planning on doing a video today, but I just got back from shopping and Mom wasn't feeling too well, but she had written on the list, Orchid. How could I not? Apparently they were on sale for $14.98 today, she said on her list. Really $24, but anyway, that's our secret. So I did pick out an orchid, and I always kind of neglect when I get home what I do. So I've just got home and I was going to drop pot it in this pot. And this is an orchid pot that an orchid came in, and it had no holes. But when I picked it up, I noticed it was clay, porous, so I thought it was kind of nice. And Jack had drilled these holes in it quite some time ago, and I haven't used it. So what I'm going to do is drop pot it in this so it can get some air. And I was going to do this, and I just started to take it out the pot. And I thought, oh, I got to show you guys this. So here's the pot. Here's the paper from the outside. Nice and yellow, cheery for this fall, coming on fall. And here's this no name tag. So first I'll tell you why I picked this orchid. Okay, it had two beautiful spikes, but that is not a sole reason for picking it. It had buds that haven't opened, and it has lots of aerial roots. They're not snipped off, quite surprisingly. They're doing quite nice. They have little grow tips on the end, if I can get there. And it's always moving the other way. The leaves are filthy, by the way. So anyway, lots of aerial roots. And when I take this out the pot, which I just didn't, I popped it back in. I haven't loosened the moss at all. And saw what was underneath. I thought I got to show you, because these aerial roots are going to be what keeps this orchid going. So it has no side holes because they don't water too much. They put it in moss. They have lots of mist in the greenhouses, and they have just the one hole for drain. Oh, there's a few holes on the bottom. That's it. So let me take it out. And I'll show you the first thing I saw. I said, I gotta show you guys. Look, these roots here, these are dead. They're history. There's nothing there. Look at this. Yeah. Why do you think they put them on sale? The greenhouses said, okay, these ones have been here too long. We better send them off. So, so even though it's near lunch, you guys are more important. So I thought, okay, well, let's peel a little bit more of this off. First, you can see where they just wrapped some around to fit it in that pot. This is just a layer that they've just wrapped on, and you can see where the other pot was. It wasn't loosened. The moss should, if you're using moss, it should be loosely packed, and or if you're using bark with a bit of moss, you don't need much moss, and the bark you don't have to repot as often. But if you're putting moss in it, unless it's awful expensive moss, you'll be repotting it, having to take it out of there because it will go acidic. So let's have a closer look. Okay. Take some of this. This is just looking terrible inside, and I say thank goodness. Thank goodness for aerial roots. And any of the roots at the surface of the pot, then they're anything that's on the outside. You can see here. Anything that's how this works, because you know I always say, and I've read in many places, anytime you change the media from bark to moss, moss to bark, or anything else, a drastic change, the orchid will grow new roots to suit that environment. So that's why some people use a crutch when they go to bark. They put a bit of moss in, and then they slowly work their way to all bark, which helps as a bit of a crutch. And we're going to be soaking our bark 3 days instead of 1 day now, because it helps. It takes about a month or two for that bark to actually hold on to some of that moisture. So it dries out quicker because it goes right through, but it also lets air in, which is very important. There is no air getting in this pot. None whatsoever. I'm going to show you here. Anyway, there's more rotten roots in here. There's all in here. This is all rotten. They have got no air. They need air. They are an air plant. So there's a whole compact section. I'll take some more out. Just going to put it on my counter. Nobody knows I'm doing a video, so anything could happen, or anybody could come. Oh boy. And then I'm going to take you down to see the lady. I finished her, other than she has to season, and the cement has to season and harden, and maybe by the end of fall I will be putting a bit of an antique paint, nothing with any color, but just something to, they say latex paint, something to help hold, preserve it a little bit better, and make it look like old cement rather than new cement. So I'll do this, and we will go there, but oh my goodness. So we have these really nice neighbors. They're just 3 doors down on the hill, Ed and Marilyn, and they're about our age, and they're quite artsy. He does tons of stained glass and like beautiful, beautiful work. And Marilyn's been painting for years. So they're quite artsy and very active people. So they had knew we were having some work done in the house. And so he stopped the truck out there. And she got out. He's still sitting in the truck with it running. And I'm out in the front yard just touching up on the lady. So normally when I do a drop pot, we'll take a break, I don't know. So normally when I'm doing a drop pot, I just loosen this moss, but because this was looking so bad, like I just take it with my fingers and put it inside this pot. But because it was looking so good, I am going to put some of this moss back around it, but I want some air getting in. And I just wanted to see, to show you what has happened in here. So I'm not picking it clean because I have to wait for my bark. But some of these real rotten ones, I just don't want them rotting everything else near them. So I'll just pick some of that out. So, and then I'll just put it in this pot for 3 days with some moss around it. And I'll just rinse it off a little bit and give it some moisture. So this is what we have. There is some sad looking ones in there. So thank goodness for these aerial roots, because I always say, because the aerial roots, they're not in the media. They're not getting a change. They're used to the air. And there's lots in that category. So let me put this back in here and finish this other story. So she comes up because she wanted to know the name of the carpenter. And I'm just standing halfway in the driveway. And I said, have you seen our new addition to the front yard? And of course she hasn't. I thought they could see from their patio because they're quite a bit up higher than us. But apparently they can't, and it's lucky because she's hid way in the back corner. So unless you come in the yard, you can't see her. Because she's a little risque. I don't know why I decided to do that, I'm sure. So I just put that back in there like that, and I never did rinse it, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to give it some water. This is the last water it's going to get till it's potted. Now, because now it's in this, the moss is going to stay quite wet. And I should put a saucer under it. So anyway, they hadn't seen it. So I guess her husband's in the truck watching because she's taken so long, and she's laughing her head off because she's looking at this lady. And so then he's getting curious. So he left the truck coming because they were just going. They just stopped for a minute, and he comes running up the driveway. And, Mary, and she says, "Look what they've done now." And he looks and his eyeballs go like this, and they're laughing and everything. And I said, well, you see now, if years from now someone wants to buy this place, I could just see that lady in the back of a dump truck headed down the road, sitting in lotus position in the back of this truck because no one would want her. But anyway, oh dear. So we'll just put that there. I'm going to come back and clean this up. I have my bark in a Ziploc bag, just water and bark. We'll sit here till I get around. I think it'll be Monday. Monday's my orchid watering day, so I may get back to you on Monday when I do that. And so that will just sit there. It will get no more water for sure. But it's not going to be sitting in wet moss because I'll be repotting it Monday. So let's go look at that lady. And I'll take you out there, show you a few other things on the way. And thank you very much for joining our little group. We have fun talking and communicating in comment sections. And lots of interesting subjects come up, and I love you all. I really do. Okay, let's go. Okay. So here I got one of my misters on the counter already, waiting for fall is creeping up. Right now we had a real storm the other day, so we've had a lot of humidity, and I think the humidity, let's have a look. You see why I don't have most of the misters going? That's our humidity. Because we had a real storm the other day, and it's kind of cloudy today. And I have two going, so even this one. So it's a pretty good, if I find my humidity's a little higher, I do not worry about turning the misters on. But holy smokes, you know, this orchid just grew this leaf in the last, month or so? And now look at that, there's another one coming. I love it. I love watching them get their leaves and roots. And I did trim the flower off of this one. We have a special company coming. And I just wanted to do this. It will last just as long in this vase with a little bit of 7-Up or citric drink added to the sugar in it. Will last just as long. So let's go look. Okay, my only 2 dendrobiums. This is all I have left on the patio because it's still over 100 during the day, and now it's starting to drop. So these are my 2 dendrobiums that I have, the only ones. And I haven't got flowers, I'm hoping. I'm hoping this will be the coming year. So, okay, and out here is my only 2 Cymbidiums, and I'm hoping that they will do something too. Look at the long leaves. Like, I think I'm going to put them in the greenhouse this year, and if they flower, I'll bring them in. So, anyway, off we go. And here I've got all the squash out the garden, and it's curing, so I can put it away for fall. So that's lots of good eating. So let's take a peek in the garden. Now we're eating lots of green grapes. They're so ripe, but they're so delicious. They're just falling off of the fine right now. So these are the peppers that we ate in the winter, and I saved the seeds because they were long red Mexican peppers, and they're loaded here. And they're just starting to turn red now. Look at here. So I'll be chopping them up and just freezing them like that, and they're so good. We have a couple of melons over there, cantaloupes, and over here are the small Mexican peppers that also came from seeds from ones we ate. They will all get chopped up and put in the freezer, and I'll use them. They're very nice. They keep almost like fresh. So we're headed to the front yard. Maggie has to stay here because I can't watch her when I'm going down here. Okay. Okay, sorry. So these are my geraniums. They're about 5 years old. They just go in the greenhouse and out every year. So we don't spend money on outdoor flowers. But they kind of line this pathway. What do you see down there? Oh boy. Okay. This has been here for a few years. Put it out. I kept it in the greenhouse over the winter. So I leave them in the pots. I don't shake the dirt off. I leave them in the pots. I give them maybe a dribble of water every month. Finally got our roses. One of them died off this year. It was so cold in the winter, last winter. So here's our grounding area. And if you walk on these nice round rocks, it's like massaging your feet just as you close up on. So apparently 3 big items, but we got more than we have. A feminine rock that was just all our rocks in a chicken wire basket covered with cement. And I sit here quite often. This is our feminine chair. And then over here, this is our masculine one. It's kind of square. But here's our lady. Are you, Hannah, who's laughing? If you're getting a laugh, now this project has been so worth it. But it was so hard. I've never done anything like this, and I probably never will again. I'm not a sculptor. If anybody wants any tips, do a smaller one. And so it was just normal cement you buy in a bag, and you add water. And the underneath parts were the hardest because it just wanted to fall off as quick as you put it on. But anyway, she's here. I'll show you from a distance. She looks better. And we did put some lights here at night so that the sphere lights up at night and the post. I'm going to get out and show you. And if you're sitting here, you know, when you're meditating, you should be thinking of something far away so you can stare at this little boy and girl over here in the boat. And in behind even, you'll see all kinds of things. And they're going down this make-believe water river. And there's our Canadian beaver that I picked up at a garage sale. He lights up at night. Okay, now we'll go look from a bit of a distance. Mom's in the house doing a puzzle. I see her in the window. These were zinnias I started in the greenhouse. They've been good there. However, we did have to put this tall fence to keep the cats out from across the street. So this was a small pot, and I added some of that Miracle Grow soil, and that did wonderful. And here we have more geraniums from the greenhouse. I keep them every year. We don't add to it anymore. We just keep what we have. So I'll show you here from a distance. So like I say, she's hid in the back corner. And anyway, it's done. Boy, I'll tell you, I get E for effort. Yeah, this is our front yard. We got very front by the road. These have stood up well. The chicken wire hasn't shown any sign of rust. So here we are, and thanks again for joining me. And maybe we'll see you in a few days. Bye now.